So tell me about your work. This week's focus is going to be on your graphic design portfolio. What should be in it, how it should flow, and most importantly, how do you talk about the work that you created? Your portfolio is a collection of graphic design works that you've created throughout your entire career. So as a student, you should be getting into the habit of keeping samples and copies of everything you've ever worked on. This can include simple exercises that we do in class to major projects. This could include personal work that you've done outside of class. This can even be professional work that you've done for a business or during your internship. All that you create should be considered for your portfolio. In today's business world, you're going to be required to keep two kinds of portfolios. There's the traditional physical portfolio and an online digital portfolio. Now, Chapter 5 does a really good job of explaining the differences between the two and 4 different methods of how you can lay them out. So as you read through this chapter, be thinking about what method best fits the kind of work you do and the kind of job that you want to be hired for. Now for this video, I want to touch on some key points that I've learned over the years of reviewing student portfolios. And these are the 5 most common problems that I see in first-time portfolios. First, sometimes a portfolio is too short. A good portfolio can have between 10 and 15 projects between their pages. So what I'm telling students is to find 20 of your best works and consider those as portfolio projects. Once you've gotten 20, once you've gotten more than enough, then it's a simple matter of taking away projects that maybe don't fit the needs of your client or the job that you're looking for. It's better to have more than enough than to have too few projects and trying to scramble to find more projects just to pad your book. The second problem is low quality. When I say pick 20 of your best works, I mean 20 of the works that you're most proud of. These are works you put a lot of time and effort into and a lot of yourself into. So you don't want them to have low quality pixelated images or misspelled words, or maybe colors were printed wrong, or anything else that can go wrong within the work that you created. You want to have work that showcases your best foot forward, and you never want to apologize for anything that's in your portfolio. Always strive to get the best quality work into the portfolio that you're going to show to your clients and to future job prospects. While we're on the topic of quality, low effort is the third common problem that I see in most student portfolios. If you're going to put a portfolio together, make sure it showcases the love, care, and craft that it deserves. Always strive to get the best quality prints, but make sure they're on clean, wrinkle-free pages. Make sure you've got your work taped down and it's not just sliding around in your book. And if you have to cut out your work, make sure the edges are clean and crisp. You want to make sure your portfolio looks like a master put it together. The fourth problem is simply planning ahead. Too often, students will throw together a portfolio at the last minute or a few days before an interview. And when they do this, it's clear they didn't put any effort into the projects that they chose. My suggestion to overcome this is to plan ahead. As soon as you finish a project, go ahead and save up a portfolio version of that project. Take photographs of it or screenshots, make mock-ups, and have it ready to go into your portfolio. Even if you don't use it, at least you'll have it ready as a backup. The fifth problem is simply keeping your portfolio current. And this is a problem for most seasoned professionals as well. If you don't keep your portfolio updated frequently, then very often your work tends to look outdated. And especially if you don't update your online portfolio, it's going to look like you haven't created anything recently. Too often, graphic designers will stop updating their portfolio once they get a job. They think, hey, I've got the job, why should I keep up with this portfolio? But the problem with that thinking is that someday you may need a new job or you may go up for a promotion, and then you're in a time crunch to pull new works into your portfolio. The best way to keep your portfolio fresh is to set aside one day a week or one day a month to update your portfolio with any new projects that you've created. Now, with all this said, there's one thing that never goes into your portfolio, and that's your grades. You will never be in a job interview and have somebody ask, well, what grade did you make on this project? So if you find yourself ever making a low grade on something, go back and revisit those projects. It doesn't have to end with a low grade. Turn the C project into an A project and make it something worthy of your portfolio. The final thing I want to emphasize in this video is how to talk about your work. Too often, students will come into an interview and not know what to say. And this is awkward because you are the one person in the room who knows everything about your work. So you need to come prepared with something to say about each of your projects. I like to use the STAR method mentioned in our book. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. And these are 4 different starting points that you can keep in mind whenever you talk about the work that you have in your portfolio. Let's practice this with one of the projects that we've worked on. Let's use the magazine layout project that we did in Graphic Design 2 as our example. If you have this project in your portfolio, it's very tempting to say that this was just another classroom assignment where Mr. Ivy gave you the information and we learned some Adobe InDesign and how to lay out a magazine. If that's all you can say about this project, then it's going to sound very boring. And to be honest, you could probably say that about most of your projects. Instead, we want to take such a complex project and make it sound like you really spent a lot of time and effort in understanding all the subtle nuances that it took to lay out a magazine. You want to convey to your interviewer everything that you've learned. So now let's use the STAR method to talk about this project. We'll start off with S, the situation. The situation for this project was that you were given articles and photographs and asked to lay out an entire magazine that appealed to a specific demographic. The task for this project was to understand the message of those articles and to use the photographs and your design principles to make those articles appealing to your demographic. The actions for this project was that you learned how to use Adobe InDesign to lay out an entire article, how to set up columns and grid structures, how to apply your typographic and design principles to make your articles seem very interesting and engaging, and also you had to do a custom-made cover. The final results for this project were that you have an entire magazine laid out that appeals to a target demographic. You also have your project print-ready and worthy of publication. See, doesn't that sound much more interesting than just saying this was another classroom assignment? The STAR method is a great way of looking at all of your projects. So I hope you spend some time looking throughout all of your work and getting a good understanding of what you want to show to the world and what's the best way of putting your portfolio together.